girlfriend of 6 years left me. As the title says, my girlfriend of 6 years left me for someone she met online but had never met in person. I was devastated. In the meanwhile, she took everything from our joint wedding account, despite the fact that I've been working 12-hour days, yes, even during the epidemic, for the last year to pay for her dream wedding. It was via a mobile dance game that she met the guy, and she instantly notified me that she feels an instant connection and chemistry with him that we never had. Because it is a joint account, there is nothing I can do to prevent it. Both partners will be able to take their funds without difficulty. At the moment, I'm in a foreign city, working for a company that I loathe in the hopes of achieving something that will never happen. I'm just at a loss for words. I'm at a loss on what to do at this point. Thank you for taking the time to read strangers. I apologize for taking up so much of your time. Update 1. I notified her father of the situation, and he is, to put it mildly, dissatisfied with the outcome. The request was made for my bank statement in order to ascertain how much of the money in the joint account was mine, and he will put up an installment payment plan. I'm not sure whether the payments will come from him, since he is retired, or from her. Clearly, my ex-girlfriend is furious. She accuses me of being immature for including her parents in our matter, when we should have dealt with it as two adults instead of her parents. I'm getting a constant barrage of phone calls and messages from her and her friends. I didn't even bother to pick it up or read it because I didn't care. All of this is occurring while I'm at work. It was a complete and utter hassle. Update 2. Both my parents and she have requested a meeting for tomorrow to discuss everything apart from the payment plan, about which I'm not sure what there is to discuss honestly. Leave has been approved, and I will be driving back home later tonight. Despite the fact that I still admire her, as many of you have pointed out, she was a huge red flag and a bullet dodged. Without lying, I'm still dubious of what will transpire when I finally see her face to face the next morning. Update 3. I've arrived safely at my parents' house, and they are encouraging me. They didn't ask me any questions. Instead, they just ate their dinner and spoke. Despite my attempts to elicit their advice, all they offered was the suggestion that I have a good night's sleep and not think about it until the next day. I'm not sure I'll be able to keep my thoughts from racing through my head tonight. This is especially true when I'm at a loss for words or don't know what to say. We've agreed to meet them for lunch the following day. My parents want me to be able to make my own choices. Thus, they refuse to discuss their opinions with me in order for me to be free of their influence. When I confronted them about the money, they didn't even bother answer my questions. This is your money, and this is your joint account, my father just remarked to my mother. Update 4. Sorry for the delay. I'm still digesting the circumstances surrounding my supposedly well-planned wedding in September of this year, so please accept my apologies for any inconvenience this has caused. Although my ex walked out, probably thinking about missing it entirely, her father banned her from coming home. I wish the meeting had gone better. My ex walked out, presumably thinking about skipping it entirely. During the conversation, her mother suddenly agreed with her, stating things that were eerily similar to what my ex-husband had said only a few hours before. Various excuses are offered, such as, "I'm not here," "You can't blame her for feeling lonely," "I'm just being unreasonable and excessively jealous about the entire thing," and so on and so forth. Despite her mother's disapproval, she took the money and said, "I recognize that accepting the money is wrong for her to do so, but given the circumstances, I should be understanding. She is entitled to it as a dowry/present since me have been wasting her time for the last 6 years," the father claims. "She was forced to sit about and do nothing," says the author, "since my father had instructed me before the meeting to let whomever is speaking to finish and simply listen. I allowed her to talk since she was expressing herself out of pure emotion and had no logical explanation for doing so. Finally, after all of the yelling, I reiterated that I'm not here to defend, explain, or blame anybody or anything, but rather to just state my position. I'm just here to inquire as to the current status of the funds in my account, so please excuse my interruption. She is free to do anything she wants and I will not intervene if she is happy with her decision." In her words, she was better off without me at this time and that I wouldn't be able to live without her for very long, and she continued to do so for a long time after that. So, even if I don't do anything, she is no longer responsible for anything, as I recently informed her. It wasn't until I showed her father my bank accounts, who had remained deafeningly silenced during her mother's rage, that he saw that my contribution had been $4.8K out of a total donation of $6.2K, that he realized how much I had given. Instantaneously, my ex-girlfriend claimed that I had changed the amount, and her mother appeared to be surprised. It has been claimed by my ex that I am computer proficient and that I am capable of manipulating the bank account statement. As an example, I asked her father for his phone number, which I then typed into the bank where my salary is deposited each month, illustrating how the deductions made each month correspond with the joint account receiving money. For the time being, it can only display information from the preceding 12 months. Anything beyond that must be completed at the bank. I've been unable to access the shared account since I terminated it with the other party, by mistake, I know. Initially, I proposed that I go to the bank to acquire another copy of the statements, but her father thought that this was sufficient evidence and handed me $3K that my ex had not spent, via direct transfer, as well as another $1K cash, from their collective pocket I suppose. I did not investigate. From their collective pocket, I believe. I did not inquire. The remaining sum of $800 and change, he stated, will be paid within the following 2 months. When her father called, he requested that I send him an email to confirm that I had received the whole amount of $4,000 as well as the balance arrangement, which I readily obliged. The next day, I apologized to her parents for any apparent wrongdoing on my behalf and for whatever trouble I had caused them as a consequence of our relationship, as my father had requested, and then we parted ways. I didn't hear my parents say anything throughout the competition, since they had already assured me that they were there to keep me calm and would not interfere in any way with my performance. My father informed me about the problem just a few hours after we had returned home from our trip. My father's phone number was dialed by her father. They had a professional relationship prior to their retirement and a cordial one afterwards. It has been reported that her parents were reassured by her that she had only withdrawn $2,000 out of their account and had left the rest of the money in it, as well as she said. So her father requested my bank records, maybe because he didn't believe me, and her mother's response was that I had accused her and overreacted by fabricating accusations of cheating in the name of jealousy, which they saw as an allegation against her. Then there was the time my ex-girlfriend, my ex-wife, husbands fell in love with someone she had never met before, and I came up with a crazy story to explain how she could do so, she continues. As long as I thought it to be a private issue, I didn't feel required to share any screenshots with them or anyone else. After all, it's all over and done with for me at this point, so why bother? In case anything went wrong, I created a copy of my screenshots for safekeeping. Final update. She has realized that she made a mistake and wants to start again from the beginning. I simply thought you'd find it amusing that she dared to send me a text message while using her mother's cell phone. I genuinely appreciate everyone who took the time to read this. While I read all of your comments and suggestions, I contemplated what to say and how to act, but to be honest, I'm still not sure what I'm going to say or how I'm going to behave until the meeting. I'm now alone in my room, feeling nothing, no fulfillment, no craving, or anything else at all. I have the impression that I am just here. I am quite aware that I still love her and that I would miss her after a period of time. My feelings for her have been building for the last 6 years, and they aren't going away anytime soon. In part because, as several of you have pointed out, even if we reconcile, whatever happens, whether it's her fault or not, I would mistrust her in the outset regardless of what occurs. That feeling of insecurity will not go away. Thank you very much, Redditors, for your continued support.